Okay. Welcome everyone to a beautiful conversation that we are going to be having. Thank you to Sacred You for being able to host these amazing discussions. And so today we're going to be talking about the solstice. And so we have some beautiful ladies from around the world that we get to talk to about this beautiful energy that we have going on. And so I am Gigado Migwen, which means talking feather woman. And I am the host of tonight's discussion. And yeah, so we're going to talk to everyone. And so we'll start off with you, Skye. Do you want to introduce a little bit about who you are? Where are you? And are you in winter or summer solstice?
Hello, everyone. Yes, as Rollie said, my name is Skye, and I am a shadow work and generational and past life healer. And I am currently in Western Australia. So I am in summer solstice at the minute, or moving into summer solstice, which is really, really cool. And there's some really, really I wouldn't say funky and I wouldn't say awesome either, but the energies that go around these times, whether it's winter and summer, is like a beautiful place of healing and sort of reconnecting to our ancestral lineage and all of those sort of amazing things.
Beautiful. Thank you. What about you, Ambika? Oh, you're on mute.
Just realized that. Hi, I'm Ambika Devi, and I'm from South Florida on the East Coast on the Atlantic Ocean. For more than 4 decades, I've worked at the crossroads of philosophy, language, and the mind. Currently shaping my doctoral thesis, and my seventh book is in production. My focus is currently my fieldwork as a rebel anthropologist and bringing together a kindred vibe collective. So this is with the intention to inspire inclusion for everybody, empowerment and courage. The solstice, to me, I'm a professional astrologer. So, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, it's actually a particular astrological point, which is when the sun reaches the 0 point of Capricorn.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ambika. And so, Anick, what about you?
Hello, Rollie. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. Here it's cooking hot, sweaty, humid. I am down under in Sydney, Australia. I've adopted this land. I'm originally from, like Rollie, I'm Canadian, from Quebec, Montreal, and I am an holistic business mentor. I am a TEDx speaker, an international best-selling author, and I lead the movement called the Voice Alchemists to help women to find their voice, express their voice, and have their message heard, landing, so that they can embody their highest lucrative joy and own their creative power. And I'm a fan of rituals, and the solstice is a very, very potent moment for actually for opening up the channel for you receiving more. So that's a time for receiving.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Anick. And so, as Anick said, is I am in Canada. So I'm in a small community in northeastern Ontario. Yesterday we had spring. Today we have a flash freeze, and now we have snow again. So the joys of living in a small community in northeastern Ontario. So so one of the things that I love about this conversation and this discussion is being able to bring all of the cycles and having all the things coming into and finding ways of practicing using what I refer to as moon medicine, which is not only being able to use like the astrological or the moon cycles or our own personal cycles, but also being able to bring in healing energies with whether it's Reiki or whether it is other energies or crystals or essential oils or all those fun things, which is what I incorporate as being moon medicine. So moon medicine isn't just the moon cycle. It is all of those things that bring all those cycles and those energies into practice and into being. So I'm really excited to be able to have this conversation and this discussion. And so the first question that I have is whether you are in the winter solstice or the summer solstice, how does that represent both the darkness and the return of light, or the change of light? And how does this paradox relate to anxiety in healing journeys? Skye, do you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to find my mute button for a second there. I love this because I feel like even though I'm in sort of the summer solstice, I'm definitely feeling a lot of those sort of real like retreat type energies, those healing. And we find even through the winter solstice, being the nights are longer, it's a lot darker. A lot of people, in like modern society would call it sort of like seasonal anxiety or seasonal depression, because there's the sunlight's just not around as much, but really what this is, and what I try to explain to my clients, is these are beautiful times to retreat, to come back to self, to do that healing work, to travel through the darkest of nights into, more into the light. And even through the summer solstice, and we've just had a new moon as well in Sagittarius, which is my rising sign. So definitely feeling all of those fun things, and it is like, coming towards the end of the year, whether it's winter or summer, it is that call to let go or heal all these things that no longer serve, so we can transmute, rebirth, and transform into the new year, and into the next lot of moon cycles and all of those sort of fun things. So it's really that nice paradox between, almost like an end of an era and moving into the next one. And that calling to do whatever work you're needing to do, however that feels for you in this time, to be able to, shed the layers as we're, leaving the year of the snake and come into the new. You're on mute, Rollie, just to let you know.
I am, because the baby started crying. And so I apologize. I'm like, that's beautiful. Thanks so much. And so I said, and what about you, Amika?
I'm in the northern hemisphere, so it's winter solstice here. But what's interesting about, winter solstice on the 21st, right now it's the 19th for me of December. And today, as I said earlier, we have just had the actual lunation of the new moon. And this is a brilliant example of the moon being 13 moons in our year, because this is a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius, not moving into Capricorn just yet. So it's an interesting way to end a year. This has been a challenging year astrologically. We astrologers definitely saw this as we were entering into 2025. And what I was seeing as I was analyzing charts, that December would be a great turning point, and how wonderful that we have this new moon in Sagittarius, which encourages us to get above everything, look at it from that bird's eye perspective, so that we can really develop a plan. I personally, my ritual is to begin planning the following year in November. So I begin, and by December I already have things mapped out, projects and themes for speaking points, books, and newsletter topics that I am releasing. And so for me, I always like to give myself time and space to be quiet, to sleep more, to sleep late if I want. And fortunately, I have the luxury. I know not everybody does. If I was in the Southern Hemisphere right now, and how I experience my own summer solstices with a lot of vigor. And I am in a warm climate, so in the summer I'm a much earlier morning person. Whereas this time of year, I love a nice big mug of tea in the morning and just take it easy and go slow. And if I want to call it a night early, I do. Even though it's not a cold climate, I have experienced years and transitioning the seasons in cold climate. So I allow and I'm able to tune into the body and what it wants for that extra sleep and rest. And that for me is how I stay healthy. I don't find myself stressing out over the holidays or because of the climate change, weather change, which a lot of people experience. I feel like if we really monitor ourselves through our sleep, through our what we're eating, taking in, and media, which I call diet. So it's not just what you're eating, and really watch how the body is energized and eliminating. You can tell through your lifestyle choices whether you're staying healthy or not. And so I encourage everybody to just slow down and have a look at yourself so you can get the optimum level.
Beautiful. I love that, Ambika. Thanks so much. And Anick, what about you?
You have to ask me your question.
So the question is, so whether you're in the winter solstice or the summer solstice,
Yeah.
how does it represent both the darkness of the darkest night and the return of the light? So how does this paradox relate to anxiety in our healing journeys?
Okay. Well, here in Australia, we've just been experiencing a big dark moment, as you probably all know, with the terrorism. I never thought we would experience such thing here in Australia, in Bondi Beach, a few minutes from my home. Um, yeah, it's been pretty intense. But what's happening here on the 21st of December is the summer solstice. So we are at the peak of the light and we are going back into darkness a little bit at the time, day by day by day. The light will dim and diminish and going back into the dark until next year, the 21st of no, until June, the 21st of June. And so it's a different energy. The summer solstice for us in Australia, it's like it's a very fiery, a very vibrant energy, and it's a portal of receiving, really opening up the light to its max to receive the light, to receive the grace, to receive the divine's guidance, the gifts, the truth, to receive your own truth, so that your manifestations, your creation for the next cycle will be potent, will be aligned with who you truly are. Um, Darkness is inevitable. Darkness is always is always there, but the light, when you arrive home and you know it's dark, all the lights are off, you turn on the light, it wins. Light always wins. So so it's an exciting time. I love the solstice. We celebrate here. We have some really beautiful events actually for the solstice and for peace here in Australia with what happened last Sunday uh, in Bondi Beach. So we yeah, we do a ritual and we come together in prayers, dancing, singing, chanting, and calling in that light in our own heart, you know, lighting up the candle in our own sacred heart. Because that's where it starts. It starts within. And the sun is the reflection of, you know, we're the reflection of the sun. The sun is a reflection of us. The light is who we are in our essence. Oh, we can't hear you, Rollie. Well, I can't hear you here.
Sorry, I apologize. Normally I leave my camera unmuted, but apparently not today. So I just want to say that I want to hold space for everybody in Australia who has had that experience, and definitely holding sending all that love and light. And I really love this that part of the conversation that all three of you guys have had of being able to bring in that that healing part. And so being able to tap into Ambika, I love how you talked about how just being able to like listen to our own bodies. That is something that a lot of us really need to do, is listen to what does our bodies need. Do we need more rest? Do we need to keep going in? Especially because regardless of where we are, whether we're winter or summer solstice, it is still the holiday season. And even for those of us who do not celebrate the holiday season, there's still gatherings, there's still people, there's still the stores are busy, like all that stuff is actually still going on regardless of what it is that's happening. And so being able to tune in to that, and Anick, you talked about having that being able to tap into our voices and our prayers and our chanting, and just really being able to help call in the light and having that energy coming in, and Skye being able to just recognize that vibrant energy that you have going on at this time of the year, and being able to connect with that, and being able to set up those patterns and those routines of what is it that you need to be able to do that way. So thank you so much, ladies, for those beautiful conversations. So next question is, the new moon calls us towards spiritual practices. So which traditional winter or summer practices have you found to be the most supportive for anxiety management? Skye, you want to start?
Sure. I love rituals, and I love practices and all of those amazing things. So, whether we're in, winter or summer solstice, and sort of depending on what you're like really feeling, as Ambika said, like winter is that really beautiful time to retreat. Sometimes we need to sleep later, and or go to bed earlier, or, sit with really beautiful, nourishing cups of tea, and, all of those beautiful things. But then moving into more of the summer solstice, where we're like, okay, it's time to go, let's go. But even in sometimes those real go times, and it's like, you can feel society pressures of having to be productive. And it's, again, returning back to self and having those moments of stillness, even in the winter or the summer practices. So, whether or not that is, meditation by candle, journaling practices, and as I said, warmth-based practices of blankets and teas, and, those subtle reminders to your nervous system that it's okay to slow down, that it's okay to move with the flow. Even in productivity, we don't need to be, completely on all the time. You can move from task to task with that ease and that grace of, oh, I get to do this now, or I get to do that now, not I have to do this and I have to do that. And putting that pressure on yourself then causes that anxiety, So it's like finding those rituals and practices that work best for you. Myself, especially at the moment, we are in summer, so our days are starting earlier. I'm getting myself back into that lovely habit of going for an early morning walk through nature when it's really nice and cool and everything's very still, but I'm still moving my body in a really nice, gentle way. And then moving into the afternoons where my energy sort of dips, that's when I take the practices of, sitting with a cup of tea, or sitting with a nice book, or jumping into meditation then, and following the rhyme and rhythm of your own energetic body and systems.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Skye. Ambika, what about you?
Specifics that I suggest for clients and friends and people I care about are: take some time out, go outside, look at the sky, whether it's nighttime or daytime, and take time out for you. It's so very important to do that, because if you're just pushing, you're not giving yourself any time to regroup. So we have to develop habits, and those may not come so easy. What I find my clients talking about this time of year, the ones who are wanting relationships get very antsy and they want to manifest something for the holidays, or clients who've been in a long-term relationship where they get kind of in a pattern. And I was talking to one last night who has a blended family, 5 kids all together, all different ages. And I said, when was the last time you and your partner went out, maybe with a thermos, and drove around and looked at Christmas lights? And she stopped for a moment and said, wow, we haven't done that in a really long time. I said, it could be a walk, it could be a drive. It just depends on, where you are and what the weather's like. But these are the little things that we used to do maybe in a relationship, and then we get into these patterns, and we lose that kind of magic that we used to more spontaneously create. So I like to listen to my clients and hear what's going on, feel the levels of joy and stress, and then make constructive suggestions if that's what they're seeking. Uh, it's just so funny how these different holidays that have been created and constructed that aren't earthwise create the most stress for everybody. Whereas if we go outside and we think, well, tonight it's dark moon, there's no moon, it's new moon, you can see the stars and the planets more. Or the sunsets this time of year around the solstice points usually are pretty beautiful. When was the last time you looked at that? Or the wildlife and listened to the insects? Uh, if we can find that place, which some may consider childlike, which I think is perfectly acceptable because I think it's really important to keep that inner child healthy, happy, and alive and fed with creativity, which is another thing, creativity. So if it's really, really hot and you're staying inside to be cool, or if it's really, really cold and you're staying inside to be warm, what kind of creative outlets do you have? I was asking another client this who was very unhappy about a relationship situation, which was really a moot point. And he happened to be a firefighter, which I think is very noble profession. And he works out a lot, uh, which I would imagine many of them do. But then I said, well, what about a creative outlet? And that's when he was talking about working out. And I said, I let him talk. But then I said, you know what? That's beautiful, but that's exercise. Training is great, but that's not your creativity. And I had another client when I brought up creativity, same thing, uh, same kind of situation, frustrated, but not really looking at their own creativity. And everything was external, going to a concert. And I said, no, 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 what about you making music? You making a painting or a drawing, writing. And I love it that you're reading books, but what about just some journaling? And that's so very important. So the firefighter, I said, well, do you spend time in a firehouse? What do the other guys do? And he listed a bunch of really interesting things. One builds furniture, another was a painter. And I said, well, how about kind of going over to them and trying it out with them and see what you like? And I was so, so happy when I checked in with him the next day that he already had a plan of who he was going to kind of go shadow with, and play and experiment. That's what I think is super important. And I think these solstice points where it's either a very long day or a very long night, this gives us that energy where we can dream and scheme. Dream in the northern hemisphere for the winter solstice, or well, when you have it in the southern, and scheme in the summer solstice. Why not use the power and energy? This new moon today has a lot of fire energy, so I encourage everybody to jump into that creative part of you and ask yourself, what creativities would I really like to spend a little more time with? And then give yourself an hour tomorrow and play.
I love that. And I think that that is something that is missing for a lot of people, is to try and figure out what do they love. And when you talk about like what did they do when they were a kid, they start listing off like all these things that they used to do. And it's like, well, why don't you do any of those? Like, why do you not have any of those fun activities? Like people used to play sports or whatever. It's like, why are you not doing those kinds of things? Or like just being able to like go for a run or go for whatever it is. But our lives get busy and we forget that we need to make sure that we do what it is that we need to do for ourselves. And even going back to the conversation from earlier for you, Amika, where you talked about like, if I need to go and have a nap, I'm having a nap. Right. Whereas like that would have been like, oh my gosh, you're having a nap. Like only kids go and have a nap. Kids and old people go and have a nap. Right. But it's like, no, we really just need that refresh sometimes. And so so I love that. Thank you. Anick, what about you?
The new moon spiritual practice that I really love is the playfulness aspect of it. Like I live on the beach, so going on the beach, swimming in the ocean. I mean, this is really basic, simple, but it's when we do it intentionally, when we connect with nature intentionally, we open our heart and we tune in. It's like we communicating all the time. We're constantly in communication with ourselves, with nature, with others. So tuning into that new moon who wants to grow and expand, and she wants to become full and whole. It's like us, you know what I mean? Opening up and being whole, the whole of us, bringing the whole all our sides, and allowing this this younger part of us, the inner child of us, to go and play and roll up in the sand and splish splash in the ocean, and releasing, you letting go in the physicality of it. And at the same time you can call in, opening up and calling in your true heart's desire. I'm also a fan of, and with my clients, I mean, journaling. Not as a, it's something that that I market, but once you're in my program, you get into it, like automatic writing, like channeled writing. You know what I mean? Letting that come through you organically, and see what comes out with the questions. Always starting with intentionally with a question. And say, okay, what is my next step on my path of evolution? What is my next step now? Where am I? What does my soul wants to express, create, experience, share in the world? So very, very simple, very powerful, very like any tool, any practices. It's in the repetition of it that it's in the embodiment and the repetition, and that's how we grow it. That's why we become good at it, that it becomes natural for us. And a solstice is a very potent time to reinforce that, to be well aware of it, and to reclaim your form of expression, of creativity that connects you to the new moon energy and to your own sacred heart.
And I love that. Like, I love the whole point of that all of you guys talked about, like having those rituals and like what's important, and being able to like really being able to connect with those things. And I know that for me, when things feel like super chaotic is when I'm not following my own rituals, when I'm not doing the things that I need to be doing for myself, and not listening and tuning into what it is that's happening. And it's easy for us to be able to just go, oh yeah, that's not working so much anymore. I can tell. Because when we actually go back into what it is that our bodies need, and what is it that our spirits need, and those rituals of like what's important. And I was sharing this earlier in another conversation about like even something as simple as my 2.5-year-old grandson, who, like, when things are pretty chaotic, he'll actually come up to us with his little box of oils and say, I want my oils, please. And so he knows that he needs that. So that's part of his own rituals. And I've been doing that with him from the time that he's little. He doesn't use them all the time, but he knows. And it's always when things are chaotic for him, right? Like when we've been like really busy and we've been going to different places, or different people have been coming over and that kind of thing. And so, but he'll actually say like, my oils, please. I want to be able to use my oils. And so at 2.5, he's already figured out that these things help him feel good, and make him feel calm. And he actually chooses which ones it is. Like, he doesn't know what any of them mean, but he chooses which ones it is that he wants. He wants the blue one today, and he wants the orange one tomorrow, and whatever it is that he needs to do. And so when we can actually tune into ourselves, and I think it was Ambika that was actually talking about our inner child, and like really being able to like have that playfulness, or it might have been Skye, but we have that that importance of like just being able to be in that playfulness, and having that connection, and just remembering what it is that is important to us, and finding those different things, and having that connection back into the world. And because then it helps us help others, and the people around us, when we can actually remember to tune in to what it is that we need to do. And that part is like so important. So the next question is, how do you help clients navigate the intensity of the holiday anxiety while honoring the sacred nature of this season? So what about you, Skye?
That's really I love that, because no matter where you are, especially when you come into this time of year, there can be a lot of stress and anxiety, and you don't have to sacrifice your nervous system in order to be a part of the holidays, right? So a lot of the times, when I'm talking to clients or friends, or even myself, because even I still can get caught up in the whole, I have to do this. And that is the big one, is to like, try and get rid of those have tos or shoulds, and coming back to self and working out what your energetic boundaries are and what they mean for you, and not overgiving yourself. A lot of the times, you're allowed to step into that space of receiving as well. So, whether or not in these times it's choosing, one ritual, like as you said, Rollie, like, we did grandson and the oils and all that sort of stuff. Sorry, my son is just trying to give me my puppy. And he knows when he needs them, so again, it's that tuning into, into your body and what does it need right now. And that may only be one thing, not 10 million different things, or it may just be, a quieter day. I think, like, as I said to Sophia when I jumped on this call, like, we're having family Christmas on Christmas Eve because my husband has to go back to work on Christmas Day, and my children and I on Christmas Day are just spending it together at home, without the chaos of running around here, there, and everywhere, just choosing what we need to do and having that time to just honor what it is. And like, my youngest son is really into, spell making. So we've sat down already, and we're going to do it again. And that may be on Christmas. We sat down and make witches balls, for all our for the trees and for our friends and families. And that's like beautiful, sitting into that ritual and honoring sort of my space and not what everyone else expects. And I think that's really the big thing, is just honoring who you are rather than what you feel like everyone is expecting you to do at this time of the year, because it is more about connection than it is about, having the biggest thing or the more expensive thing, or, the stress of running around and all of those sort of fun things.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. And Amika, what about you?
The way I help individuals look at the idea of anxiety is to first realize that anxiety is a mulling and resurfacing of thoughts that are memories, things that happened in the past, bits of conversations, actions that were taken, choices that were made. And this is what creates it, is that the thoughts keep coming forward and we catch them, that we become aware of them. And it can be very, very frustrating. And some people grow up learning that this is how things must go. So it's as if I've got to carefully pull the wires apart and diffuse a bomb, because anything can trigger and create more pain, and I don't want to do that. So another thing that really kind of layers in with those, I'm going to say, regurgitated memories, is that then a layer of expectation gets placed upon it. And expectation is a recipe for disappointment. So when we can find that and identify it together, myself with a client, then we can say, okay, I can back up from this. I can look at it, and then I can learn to choose to not keep reacting and keeping that thought memory going. If we don't keep focusing on it, it loses power. I know it sounds simple. There are techniques. We can tell the mind and the thought to shut up. We have that right to do it, but we aren't taught that. This is actually a meditator's technique, is to just tell it to shut up. And then we can use the voice. We could primal scream like we did when we were little children. And it was me who brought up inner child earlier, because that will clear the energy. We could think the opposite. We could do the opposite. We could change the action that we're in right now, if it's appropriate. I know it's not always. But if the only thing we can do is just a little bit of trying to get grounded, stamp our feet, at least the heels, take a walk, because when the feet start flexing on the ground, we're shifting energy. Put on a piece of music that you know can change and shift your mood, and dance around and move. I find myself saying, go outside, go for a walk, connect with nature, you know, lie down on the ground, look at the clouds or the stars. This is nature's medicine for us. And then being safe and vulnerable with ourselves to express, to use the voice, to use movement, and to let that be the thing that can shift the focus. We know, scientifically proven, that if there is physical pain and we stop focusing on it, it diminishes by 50%. This has been proven. Therefore, if we can stop focusing on what's annoying us and think the opposite, the math is there, the science is there that we can. But is it so easy? No, I know it's not. So we develop techniques for ourselves for what works for us, And if something's making you really, really sad and there's a movie that makes you laugh, go watch it, or a comedian. But if I'm not saying don't feel your feelings, but we have to understand we all have the same grouping of emotions. We have fear, we have wonder, we have joy, we have devotion, we have we all get anxiety. So that's another thing is realize you're not alone. So reach out to somebody who has your back. Don't create more anxiety by trying to get the person who's not giving you any attention. That's not helping. Go surround yourself with people who lift you up, who challenge you to be a better version of yourself, who make you laugh and give you love. That's how you turn it around. So take action.
Well, thank you so much. Anick, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the Voice Alchemist movement academy, we really use the voice, all levels, the voice is the main instrument to shift energy, to create space within. So the singing, the voicing, and the the modality that I've channeled 7 years ago, voice tapping, is something that it's a modality that's super powerful to transmute a belief, a trauma, to come back to truth, to come back to desires, to come back to vision, to come back to the here and now. Is, to me, it's the most amazing, powerful thing ever on the planet because I personally shifted massive ancestral traumas, and my clients, they're buying properties on Bondi Beach, and they met their soulmate, and they're doing the thing. So I mean, it shows that Christmas or not, the holiday or not, it's a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. It's powerful. We have everything within ourselves. We have it all within ourselves. It's not an external, it's here. It's our voice, it's our body, it's our breath, it's our intuition. We have it within ourselves. It's the activation of the heart, activation of the voice, activation of the intuition, tapping into that little cell of love, that little cell within yourself, boom, 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 and like a fireworks, you shifting that. But the mind has a grip. When the egoic mind wants to hold on to something and be so right, say you're not enough and you don't have anyone for Christmas and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. As Ambika said, shut up. You're not the boss of me. My mind is not the boss of you. Your mind is not running the show. Your heart, your soul, your divine self, your higher self, your sovereignty runs the show. So the practice is tuning into that over and over and over again. You're driving. And you've got your spirit and your body came into your consciousness to give you an instrument so that you can create a juicy business, a juicy life, a juicy relationships, and a juicy Christmas. Aho. Oh, okay. And Anick just woke up then. I had a really late night, I have to say, 3 in the morning, when I'm usually in bed by 9:30. So last night was a totally out of my comfort zone.
So sometimes it's important for us to challenge ourselves to kind of go out of our comfort zone, but at the same time, we also need to remember going back to the early part of the conversations of like what's best for us and what's important for us.
Sure.
And being able to learn, to learn that no is a complete sentence. And so you don't have to say yes, and you don't have to go through all of the the crazy of the holiday season just because that's how you grew up, or just because everybody else's expectations are these. And I stopped doing all those things like years ago. And so I don't buy my grandchildren Christmas gifts because I buy them things all year long. And so like we don't do those kinds of things, and they do, and everybody else practices those things. But I had bought a couple of pairs of pajamas that were Christmassy pajamas, and my daughter-in-law said, I'm suspecting that you left this in the bag because you want them to start wearing them whenever. And I said, exactly. You want to save them, you save them. You don't want to save them, I don't really care. It's just whatever it is that they need, and whatever it is that they whatever, like, it's not something that I don't stress about those things. And so we have two. Normally I only have the one gathering, but this year we were invited to a different gathering. So, but if I didn't feel like going, or I didn't want to go, then the answer is no, I'm not going. And the only other gathering is I have a brunch with my kids, and I don't really care what day of the week it is. I don't care, it makes no difference. But it's just being able to remember that I'm not getting stuck in all that hustle and bustle. We're not spending tons of money so that our credit cards are maxed out because why? Right? So like, wait till next pay when you can afford it. Right? So it's just like all those different things and being able to learn. And so one of the tools that I use a lot for myself and for others is connecting with a mantra. Like, what mantra do I need? What mantra do I need to be able to remember of whatever it is that's going on? Like, I don't need that crazy. And one mantra when things get to absolutely chaotic is that I remind myself, is that my girlfriend had said many years ago, is not my circus, not my monkey. And so it's like, so that is something that I've always remembered. It's like, that's not mine. That's not mine to carry. And I don't have to carry it. That's not for me to have to deal with. And so I use that with clients all the time. Ambika, when you were actually talking about like that primal scream, the little one that we have here, she just let out like this great big huge roar while you were actually having that conversation. And it was like, there you go. There's that primal scream. Like, there's that primal. And she was like, she's not unhappy. She's just letting us know that she is just having a conversation and having whatever it is that she needs. And we need to be more like that. We need to be more in this moment of what do we need, and letting others know what it is that we need, because it is easy for us to get stuck in the expectations of, well, they must know. They must know that this is what we need, because like, we've been together for this many years, and I know that I play that sometimes, and it's like, well, you should have known, like you should know that I'm not going to eat that, or you should know that that's not someplace that I want to be able to go. And it's like, why do we become mind readers? And so I have to remind myself of that as well. So thank you for those reminders, ladies. And so the next question is, what specific solstice wisdom or practices offer hope and renewal for those struggling with anxiety during winter or summer months? Skye?
I feel like sometimes the best reminder in these, times, especially if you're experiencing, that really heavy anxiety or those feelings, is one of those, it's hope doesn't arrive loudly, and it doesn't necessarily arrive all at once. You're not going to get, sometimes smacked in the face with it. It does arrive quietly and pieces by pieces. And it's more where, it's that beautiful saying, where focus goes, energy flows, so, and it's like, as Ambika said about pain, when you stop physically really focusing on it, it diminishes, and the same thing when you can direct your focus into things that, make you feel lighter, that give you that hope, that joy, that gratitude, whatever it is that you feel like you need to connect into, then that energy is going to go that way. And by doing so, again, that sort of real anxiety feeling is going to sort of diminish quite a lot, and then you can do real micro practices, like as Anick says about, channel journaling, naming what it is that you're feeling it so you can release it. Half the time when we feel all of these, intense feelings, whether they're perceived as positive or negative, they're just not, they just are. We hold them inside. We hold that fear inside. We hold that anxiety inside, but a lot of times if you can name what it is, you're already in the process of letting it go because you've spoken it out loud so you can release it rather than really holding it inside, and really setting intentions for rest rather than resolution. As I said, those resolution or that hope and that gratitude comes in the quieter moments. They don't come banging on your door real loud. They come in those small micro practices that you are giving to yourself. And I really feel like those are some really nice little mini practices that we can do, in these, whether it's summer or winter, to help reduce those feelings of anxiety and stress. Like as you said, Rollie, the whole buying into having to max out credit cards or do this or do that. No, it's calling back to self and go, well, what do we need to do in this time? What does this feel like for me? Rather than, excuse me, my dog is now barking at my window. I don't know if you could hear that. Rather than looking for that external of like, well done, that validation, you participated in this, coming back into that internal validation of honoring yourself, whatever that ritual, routine, celebration is for you, rather than what the society and family or friends expect of you.
Thanks, Skye. And Amika, what about you? Oh, can't hear you.
Hope is something that is good to have. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's a fine line between hope and anxiety. And I'm sorry, hope and expectation. I think it's great to have hope, but I feel that we have to be careful to be honest with ourselves regarding that. As far as practices, I think I've laid those out really clearly. What, but and I love Anick talking about the water because water's great. When it's hotter weather here, I'm outside in salt water often. And if it's the cooler time of year like now, it's bathtub with Epsom salts and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. That's an old homeopathic trick. Or a little bit of apple cider vinegar on its own. I find myself kind of alternating between those depending on how I'm feeling and what the body, how I'm feeling emotionally and physically, what the body is wanting. If we're not able to recommend physical practices like that, I think the most important thing to remind ourselves or anyone we're working with or caring about is honesty, and ask yourself, are you allowing yourself to be vulnerable? Because I think a lot of people get hung up there with, I really want to share this information with somebody, somebody I'm interested in, somebody in my family, one of my kids, and then hit the brakes. So we have to find ways to communicate. And that, a technique, is to speak in third person, not fling what is termed dirty laundry psychologically. Not when you do something, it does this to me, but to learn how to say, it makes me feel blank when blank happens. We can diffuse that time bomb right there. We can keep that other person paying attention and listening to us. That technique comes from reevaluation counseling. It's very, very very tiny little shift in language, but very powerful in what it can do to help us express ourselves, which I feel is so very important. And that's where the struggle is. Like I said, it's the vulnerability, but also understanding how to express ourselves so that we are not triggering the listener, whomever it is we're trying to express ourselves to. When we learn how to do that, relationships can really grow, they can strengthen, they can gain a much stronger foundation in that cornerstone of building safety, security, and trust, which is integral in any relationship, whether it's friends, family, work, or a romantic connection.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Ambika. And like that is, and one of the things that, not just one of the things, but like one particular thing that you said though, is that like those small shifts, right? Like just being able to make those small shifts. And so those of us who are here around the table or around the conversations, we have taken those small shifts and making them and done these different things that have actually worked for us. And so earlier on, Ambika was talking about the one client that she was talking about, the firefighter who just one thing, like just try one thing. So where that turns out in 3 months from now will be very interesting if he's just trying one thing. And if that one doesn't work, then go to the next one and figuring that out. So I love that. So thanks so much. Anick, what about you?
Yeah, I resonate with everyone's share. Really, really powerful. Like the I'm just rereading the question. What specific solstice wisdom or practice offer hope and renewal? Actually, we don't want it to offer hope. We wanted to shift. We wanted to go from A to B. Like when you drive your car and you go to wherever you visit a friend or to the shop or to a workshop or to a client or wherever you're going, you go to A to B, you drive there, you land somewhere else. You know what I mean? Where the shift is you here and where do you want to go, who you want to become, who do you want to be, what do you want to embody, what feelings you want to feel. And the thing is our body is a vessel that remembers and that gets or yeah, I would say addicted to the same type of feelings over and over again. So to shift that, but a practice, as I said before, voice tapping really helps, very powerful in shifting the energy, transmuting the belief system into new system. Then it's got to be followed by some inspired actions that you're going to repeat again and again. Like we're a little machine, and we are what we constantly say and do. That's who we become. Like our words and our actions create a behaviors that creates an outcome, and that creates the person that we're choosing to be, to become. It's not always that straightforward. I know the formula is very simple, like when you just say it like it, and it's sometimes it can take quite a few steps in the dance to kind of like make it flowy and get used to that new dance that you want that you want to embody. But also the gratitude piece, the appreciation of what is here now, and just being alive, a human living life, having two legs, two eyes, two hands that can hug and take my cup of coffee and pat your dog and caress the people you love, and a voice that can express songs and kindness and consciousness. I mean, just being alive in the first place having a human experience, it's like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. So, you know, shifting our perspective little by little by opening this big, booming, loving heart of ours, welcoming life, saying yes to life. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for every single little moment, the breath you take, the dream you had, waking up in a bed with a roof above your head, with running water that you're gonna, you know, you're gonna be able to have a shower or a bath. Like I'm a fan of Epsom salt bath. Now I'm gonna have one tonight actually, and I'm gonna add what did she say? Peroxide and vinegar, apple vinegar. Oh, I've got no.
No, Anick, it's either going to be a vinegar bath
A vinegar bath, white vinegar,
apple
white
cider
vinegar,
vinegar.
apple cider vinegar.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a shot. That's all you need.
Okay.
Or a new bath, and it's called a pound and a pound. A pound of Epsom salts, and a pound is a pint. So a pint of 2% hydrogen peroxide. So if you buy it at stronger strength, that is food grade, then you can figure it out.
Amazing.
And the pound and a pound hydrogen peroxide and Epsom salt is a very old homeopathic recipe for reset, for detoxing, for clearing out energy. It's
Amazing.
one of the many things that if it's not in your cupboard, you know, then get it in there, because everything you need to stay healthy is in your kitchen. Maybe you don't keep your Epsom salt in your kitchen. I don't, but but you get my point.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I was saying the perspective on things, like, you know, we all have the power of choice, the freedom of choice, you know, in every moment. So simple thing, you know, if it's clicking your fingers to shift, click your fingers, click your fingers, click your fingers, put the music on, and come back to this appreciation of, like, you've been gifted a life. And this life matters. You matter so much. Your voice truly matters. Your self-expression changes life. Everyone who's in Sacred You, everyone who's here, you're here to help people to change their lives. That's what we do. And so, you know, we have to really look after this vessel, this heart of ours, this mind of ours, this beautiful, sexy body, with such reverence and appreciation and sacredness, because there's no one like you, and you're not going to come back in the form that you're here now. You know what I mean? It's a gift. Life is a gift. So don't let your little ego mind in anxiety run the show, my friend. Do not.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, ladies. And so I can't believe that her time has come to an end. We are already at the hour. This is amazing. And I've really loved having this conversation with all of you. And this is our last, for Sacred You, this is our last panel discussion for 2025. And right now they're not sure whether or not they were coming back with it or anything. So I really love the fact that I actually got to share this evening with all of you in this conversation. And so just kind of closing off what it is that just kind of close off this circle is, in one word or one sentence, describe something that you think that people need to know for being able to navigate around this seasonal change. Amika, you're actually at the top now, so I'll actually have you start.
Okay, well, I'm Ambika Devi. It's been such a pleasure to be here with everyone and share in this lively conversation. Let's stay curious about what it means to be human.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Anick, what about you?
Be kind and gentle with yourself and follow your calling.
Thanks, Anick. And Skye, what about you?
Anxiety often peaks at the point of transformation. The darkest night is not the end, but it is a turning point.
And so I want everybody to remember that you are the expert of what it is that you need. And even when you don't think that you remember, or that you don't think that you know what it is that you need, there's always that that inner knowing, and being able to trust yourself is extremely important. And just know what it is that you need to know is within you. And so so thank you so much, everyone. And so please reach out and contact these beautiful ladies. And so somewhere, wherever it is that you are listening to this, there is all the links of all the ladies, and being able to go and check them out. And Anick, I know that you were sharing that bath that you're going to experience. And so thank you so much, Ambika, for being able to share that. And I always have Epsom salts in my bathroom. And so we have peroxide as well, but I'm going to do that combo. I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you so much. And so Sophia, I know that that you're going to come and say a few words, but I want to say thank you to you and to your team for being able to put all of these on throughout the entire year. And I am very grateful to be part of Sacred You, and be blessed to be able to have these conversations, whether I'm facilitating or participating. And I absolutely love being within our circles and having these conversations. So thank you so much, Sophia, for you and your team for having being able to create these beautiful spaces for conversations.
Thank you, Rollie. But Rollie, thank you. Absolutely, it has been an honor. And thank you for bringing your wisdom, your ancient wisdom and your moon medicine and everything else to our panel discussions and also our wisdom circles. Of course, we're finishing up the year with a wisdom circle hosted by you in 2 days' time. But as you mentioned, today is our last panel discussion for this year, and who knows what will happen in the future. So I just want to take a moment just to really honor you, Rollie, really, really honor you. And also to these beautiful women who have joined us for today, to Skye and for Anick and Ambika, thank you for joining us from the other side of the world, for Ambika in your winter solstice. And Skye and Anick, I feel your heat in the summer solstice. It's a beautiful time to be in the world today. And thank you everyone for watching. Check out the links below. Come and join us in 2 days' time for a wisdom circle where we go into the topic even deeper. And check us out at sacredyou.love. We've got so much on offer. Thank you ever so much. On.